So when I was making the Ender 3 BMG bracket, I was working off a bracket that was the Ender 5 wheeled BMG bracket. And so I was backing up and I found something very interesting, and I'm going to play it as a movie here. That part has evolved almost as well as humans. So let me show you this here. So we're going to start playing how this part starts out. And at first I wasn't sure what I was looking at here, but those screw holes gave it away. And what I'm looking at right there is some kind of linear rail carriage. And there's the holes for the carriage. Two of the holes for the carriage. So we're looking at right here the Y. This is the very first linear. The Y linear. Then it was shortened. The first one was for a C carriage, then it was shortened to an H. And then now it's evolving, that part is evolving into the bottom part of the X linear rail system. And you're going to see this develop, and this develops into the first bracket we had for the X. And just a lot of fit adjustments here. This was very hard to get this thing. I don't know why the holes are jumping around, but as far as the fit itself, problem is that from print to print, printer to printer, from filament to filament, the gap was changing too much, and not everybody could have success with that bracket. Alright, so now this bracket, that was the chain being put on. That's what you're seeing right now. Or no, now what you're seeing is this bracket is evolving into the dual extrusion version. I mean direct extrusion version. Let's pause this. Okay, I backed it up to watch this part again and change the angle a little bit. So we'll be able to see how this morphs into the direct extrusion version of this. There was a little bump up to try to change the dimension a little bit of the inner. And then there you go, it goes back down again. Like I said, that bracket had issues. It worked, mine worked awesome. But as far as everybody else getting it, no. There you go, putting the chain on there. Then that chain turned into a direct extrusion. Now this is weird because I don't remember a direct extrusion of the bracket, of the one-piece bracket, but apparently there was. That must be that red bracket that was in some of these photos. Second, not so light of that might have been. Alright, we're just working the chain here a little bit. There's some slight little tweaks here and there. So we move the whole thing up a little bit, is what we're seeing there. So, okay, now we're going into the version 2, the two-piece linear bracket. We're getting rid of the bottom part, and we're going to make that bottom part slightly adjustable with the screw holes. Now this right here was done to get more clearance, to hide the screws in the back. They were sticking back too much. Now on the 5, which I originally did, it wasn't a problem. I mean on the 5 Plus, but when you put it on the 5, it was a problem. They were in the way. They were hitting the bars that hold the Z, the linear for the Z. All right, now that whole thing morphs into the first generation wheeled direct extrusion bracket that was never put on any printer that I know of. It's totally beta. Probably doesn't even fit. Although it was based off a working bracket, so it had a chance. Alright, now that turns into the second generation, that's the second generation direct extrusion bracket for BMG. First generation BMG direct extrusion. Alright, now that part right now is going to morph into the Ender 3 BMG bracket that is currently in development and on its second print. So that should happen here in a second, and there you go, it flipped sideways. And then everything down here is going to be different, so all kinds of stuff has to change. That is one crazy file right there. I love it. Yeah, that's like a series worth of work in that step file. And it's all subdivided, so you know, it's left a trail of babies all over the place. So yeah, here's the new bracket that's on the printer right now. So the problem with the Ender 3 is it's real tight on the side rails. So the bracket could not have that piece that stuck over it. Could have. I could have left it there, I think, if you had just the right screw and you could get the nut on, but it was going to require, instead of having two nuts, so a nut and then the retainer and then another nut, it was going to have a washer, and then the retainer was going to have to be just perfect dimensions, and then the nut was going to have to fit on. And I thought, and then that would have put the wheels really, really close to, but I could have carved out for the wheels. I could have recessed like a millimeter and a half just where the wheel was going to rub. But I'm going to try this. And what this is a little hook that's going to hook on the front. And once these ride on the bushings for the wheels, and if we're hooked onto the front bracket, good, then we're golden. And you got just enough room right here for your bowden tube to be in the coming through. And like I said, we got her on the printer, and so your motor will sit right here, and then your BMG and this gear opening will pretty much be in your face, unfortunately. But yeah, if you have a plastic one, if you have a metal one, I guess it's enclosed. Alright, so we'll print this up and we'll see what happens. I thought that was interesting. Good luck, everybody.